Introduction to Pythagorean Theorem. All right, so most students tend to recognize Pythagorean Theorem once the equation is written, which is down here. I'm circling it in red. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So usually as soon as I start writing that on the board when we were in class, students would start to recognize that. For whatever reason, the words or the name Pythagorean Theorem aren't always is easy for students to remember. But Pythagorean theorem just simply means we're doing a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the big thing to remember on this one is that a and b are the legs that create this 90. So I'm kind of highlighting that box there. So that means that it's a 90-degree angle. A and b are the legs that make it. So they put a and then b. I could have labeled this b and this a. A and b can kind of go back and forth. It's not a big deal which one is a and which one is b, as long as they're the legs that create the 90-degree. C is very specific. It has to be the side that is across from that 90-degree. So it has to be this long side across from the 90. You also have to have a 90-degree angle. I'll say that too. You can't use Pythagorean theorem if you don't have a 90-degree angle or a right triangle. All right, so now that we went through our basics again, to find a missing side, so for the following right triangle, find the side length x. And they have right triangle here highlighted in blue and underlined. That tells you that you can click on that. It will give you a definition of right triangle. Right triangle simply means that it's a triangle that has a right angle in it. So instead of clicking on that, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the definition there. So we're going to find this missing length x. X is across from the 90. So I definitely want to understand that this is my C in the equation. And then A and B are these other two sides. Again, A and B are not as specific. This can be A or B. This can be B or A, one or the other, as long as they create this 90-degree angle. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and work this one out. We have 12 squared plus 35 squared equals C squared. All right, so I know 12 squared is 144 plus, I'm going to click off my pen here, and I do not know 35 squared off the top of my head. If you don't know something right off the top of your head, that's fine. We can use the calculator here. Let's see. I don't see. They don't have a square button here. That's interesting. So usually there is an X with a square right next to it. It kind of looks like this one. You can actually use this one. What this one is saying that you need to tell it what your exponent is. So if I click this button, then automatically this little exponent box pops up and I need to click a 2. And then I can click equals. Normally there's an X with a 2 next to it, but for whatever reason they don't have that here. So I have 1, whoops, I have to click my pen back on. Oops. 1,225 equals C squared. So now I want to add these two together. So I already have 1,225 in my calculator. I'm going to go plus 144 equals, so I have 1,369 equals C squared. My last step, because I don't want to know what C squared is, I want to know just C. So whenever I'm left with a variable squared, my last step is to take the square root of both sides. Square root just simply means that I want to know what number would multiply the same number twice in order to get this number. So it's basically going back, like 12 is the square root of 144 because 12 times 12 is 144. So it's the same number 2 times multiplied to get a number. So I want to do the same thing here. So if I have C squared, that means, and I'm just going to do a little arrow here, I have C times C. So I have 2 numbers, the same 2 numbers. I don't know what C is yet, but it's C and C. I can take out 1. And that's going to equal, I need to come back over here. And for this calculator, if I hit the square root button, if it's highlighted, it'll insert it correctly. So it'll actually insert it in there. But if I just had 1, 3, 6, 9 like this, and then I hit the square root button, it's going to put it after. So you just got to be careful about how you type it in. So with this one, you want to hit the square root button first, and that's just this X under the square root symbol. There's no 2 here because the 2 is assumed. Whenever we don't have a 2 in the little square thing, and it depends on the calculator using, some of them actually do have a 2. But if a 2 isn't there, it's assumed that it's 2. Otherwise, the number will be there. All right, so 1, 3, 6, 9 equals, and I get 37. Whoops, forgot to hit my pen. Ha ha ha. 37. So C is 37. And if we scroll down here, we see 37 is our answer. All right, so I'm going to clear all of that junk out of there, and I'm going to click Start. Okay, so let's go ahead and work this one out. So I need to click my pen back on here. So we're going to find the length of x, and x is again across from the 90, which tells me it's my C. And then the other two are A and B. Again, A and B doesn't matter which one's A, which one's B, as long as they create this 90. All right, so I have A squared, which is 9, plus B squared, which is 40, equals C squared. So 9 squared is 81. 4 squared, 40 squared, I believe. Let's see, what is that going to be? It's is it 160? Let's make sure real quick. No, it's bigger than 160. 40 squared equals, 1600. I forgot my 0. There are 2 zeros in that one. 1600. Because there's a 40 and a 40. So I said 160. I forgot my second 0 there when I did that mentally. So you can always make sure in a calculator. Not a big deal. All right, so we're going to add these two together. We have 1600 plus 81. Probably not terribly hard to add together without a calculator here. So we have 1,681 equals C squared. Remember, I don't want C squared. I just want to know what C is. And in this case, C is our X. So I'm going to go square root. And remember, C squared means that I have 2 of them, so I can take out 1. And I just need to find out what is the square root of this one. It's already highlighted. So if I click my square root button, it automatically puts it where it's supposed to be. So remember, if it's not highlighted, it'll actually put it after because it doesn't understand what you want. So this equals 41. So I'm going to go 41 here. And then got to go back and forth with my pen, but 41, check. Yay, we got that one right. All right. Oops, didn't mean to close it. I meant to clear it. All right, so we're going to go next. We have 2 more of these, and then we're all done. So again, we're going to find our X, and X happens to always be across. So instead of saying C this time, I'm just going to say X. So this is our C, and remember 24 and 10 are our A and our B. So I'm going to go 24 is A, and 10 is B, equals C squared, which is X. So we need our, whoops, got to actually turn my pen off here. 24 squared is, turn my pen back on, 576 plus 100, because 10 squared is 100, equals X squared. If you're wondering what tool I'm using to be able to write right on the screen, if you're on Google Chrome, so if you're on one of our school Chromebooks, this is super easy because you're already on Google Chrome. If not, you may need to download Google Chrome and use that if you're on another PC or Mac. And then it's called Page Marker. It's an extension you download, and then you can see there's just this little red pen here. And you just have to go back and forth. You can choose what color you want to. I just keep doing red for whatever reason. But it means that you can mark on almost any internet page that you want. It doesn't stay on the internet page. Think of it as like a clear sheet in between the actual page in here. It will scroll up and down with this one, but as soon as I reload the page, it doesn't line up. You'll see that when I hit check here, but it's kind of a cool tool. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and add these together. I'm not going to use a calculator because all I'm doing is adding 100 equals X squared. And then remember, we want to take the square root because I don't want to know what X squared is. I want to know what X is. Equals, and then I'm going to turn my pen off. So you do have to go back and forth with the pen. There is an erase button, and this button actually lets you download the screen. So like you could save it if you wanted. It's like a screenshot button. Okay, so I'll go ahead and add 100 to it. Why not? Equals, and then it's already highlighted. So if I hit square root, it puts it in there correctly, and I can hit equals. So then I get 26. So I get 26 here. So I know X is 26. So I'm going to type in 26 and, oops, make sure you type it in correctly and check. All right, yay. And then clear and next. All right, one more of these. So we're going to do it one more time. And they really, seem to like, especially for the introduction here, that our x is always the hypotenuse, or the c. It makes it easier in your equation because you're always doing a number squared plus another number squared equals your variable squared. So what they're doing for the introduction is letting us keep the variable always on the one side so that we're not moving things around. So they're just trying to keep it a little easier for the introduction here. So we have 64 plus, let's see, is that, I think I know that one, but I don't want to guess. So 15 squared, whoops, undo, I want a 2, not a 5, equals 225. Okay, that's what I thought it was, but I didn't want to guess on this one. Equals x squared. So if you don't have your squares memorized, that's perfectly fine. Having your squares and even like times tables, things like that, the more you have memorized, the easier math will be. If you have to always stop and go back to do kind of simple calculations, it does make it more frustrating. So the more you have things memorized, the easier it will be. So if you don't have your times tables memorized, for example, I do have a program where you can go through and work on your times tables, which is a pretty nice program. It's more like a game, just quizzing you on that so that you get faster at it. All right, so we have 289, and we don't want the square, so we're going to take the square root. I know it's going to be x equals, again, if I go back to my calculator, it's already highlighted. So if I click this, it's going to insert it correctly, and I hit equals, and it is 17. So we have 17. And then I want to type in 17. All right, check, and we should be all done. Yay, we finished that one. So I'm going to clear and next.